Everybody, we are back again in our talk show, and once again, I have on my left hand side, I have Mr. Ofem. Mr. Ofem, welcome back to my our talk show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Apologies.
So, how are you doing?
From the last time, it's been fine. Feeling good. Hope you're feeling good too as well.
I'm fine. The country is getting at hand. So,
well, we can only wish for the best because our lives are not controlled by fuel. But
yeah.
Of course, it gets better.
Okay, so today we're going to discuss a little bit about men. So,
okay.
How can we actually when it comes to men, how can we become better men in the society? Because we see a lot of raping, we see a lot of if you go to prison, you see a lot of men in the prison. Yeah. How can we become a better man?
Okay, so thank you very much. So being a better man is first a mindset before it becomes a reality. So we can see that basically if boys or young men growing up are not properly trained, are not properly mentored, are not properly discipled, we would end up having men who cause mayhem. And so if we look at the perspective of the world, basically, the rape women suffer, the issues that happen, it's not really their fault. So better men will act better. And then, so at this point, I think something that I think we should do better is maybe going to secondary schools, going to primary schools, and being able to talk to young boys, because it's from there we make them understand that, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong. Because when a man has already come to a certain age, sometimes it's impossible. And I believe that the church system too also helps, especially with the men's groups, finding ways to also mentor young boys or young men in church as well, across relationship, finances, career, and other things as well.
Yeah, I think I believe so because I remember when I was growing up, I did not really stay with my parents, and it was actually, if not for the fact that it was in the scripture union we were attending in school, I stayed in the hostel. I know those impacts, the way they were preaching to us. Don't have school daughter, don't have this. So also now coming to church, Global Impact Church. And what our pastor immediately is also Jesus, like that mentality of not doing that bad thing. I think that will help us. So I have another question I'm going to ask you now. So I want to ask you. So this one is actually very, very critical. Actually, what is the biggest life lesson you have learned?
Okay.
Like, I know you're still growing up, but what is the biggest?
Like, so far? Well, I'm thinking about it. I feel like life lessons happen every day. And whether we believe it or not, there's always something to learn day by day. And if there's something that has stood out for me from life lessons I've learned was immediately after the death of my dad. So it brings a kind of different level of exposure to you, making you understand that when you have somebody, you know that there's somebody behind the scene who is helping out, who is there for you and other things. But it taught me a bit of responsibility. So that was when I now learned how to navigate myself. I now learned how to do a lot of things. I now learned how to become a better man, because I had to face challenges square on without having to maybe really depend on people.
Okay, so you were talking about life lesson. Actually, I have my own biggest. I think for now, I think I have my own biggest life lesson. I think I did a mistake. I was actually dating someone that I wasn't even in love with me. Actually, that should be my life lesson, because I think. And do you know all my life changed, because I think it was 3 years ago. So when I finally, like, I've been dating the person, not dating like online dating, like, you know now. So when the person finally said, okay, you want to come over, now ask the person to come over and my place in Lagos. So the whole scenario changed when she came, and I started saying some things I did not even really like. So going back, I was literally forcing the person to go back, because and I needed to even go and borrow money to pay a flight. So after that borrowing money, my whole life changed for bad, actually. So I didn't want to go deep into that, but it was a very, very big story. And I know how I maneuvered to pass through those difficulties. Just that little mistake I had.
So that is why the place of mentorship is needed. So as young men, as young guys, we need people we can look up to. We need people who have set the bar high enough where we can look at them and they can. So we have different levels of mentorship. There's mentorship from distance, whereby you follow people, you learn from them. Like some of us, we have people like Miles Monroe, we have people like Mike Murdoch and other things. And then there's a part where there is a close mentorship. Like for example, there are mistakes we have made. People have made them a long time already. There are things we
Yeah.
are going to do that people have already gone through them. So the most important way we learn is by outsourcing that knowledge. That so you have been able to go through this. How can you help a young boy at this age? And another thing I think we have with the issues of mentorship is because people dishonor them. Because that's how you have access to somebody of noble character and somebody that is great, and you don't consistently honor the person. Honor may not mean buying a gift for the person, but respecting the person's time, heeding to instructions, knowing how to follow through. So there's an act. And if as young men, we are open to others who have gone through the process help us, it builds a lot for us too as well.
Yes, so I think you're right. Even Pastor B and Pastor Emi, they talked to us about also learning from other people, knowing what they have passed through.
Yeah.
So from there you will now be able to maybe know, oh okay, so this one actually went through this process. So this way I can also do it. That's actually good. So the next question I want to ask you, actually, in this Lagos, now there is a lot of fuel issues, and now I think the liter is 1,000 naira.
So is it not about 1,1?
I think 1,1 in some places. So how do you really save money? How do you save money in this Lagos? How do you do it? Because it's difficult. I won't lie to you.
Yeah. Okay, so everybody has different levels of finances. And one way you would know how to handle your finances is knowing how to handle yourself. Finances comes as a result of consistent discipline. So we would hear the rule of the 80-20 rule or other rules that come to finances, whereby 10% of your salary goes to tithe,
So it's
40% goes to savings, 60% goes to your expenditure. Now, there's something I learned. If you know what's pursuing you, you will know how to run. So let me use for example. If, for example, a lion is pursuing you now, you will know how to run. But if they tell you that a dog or a cat is pursuing you, so we all know where we are financially, and we will know where we want to be. So sometimes savings is not the only way for you to get there. There's need to learn investments. Like for example, you may meet somebody right now who is at the point where he needs to develop himself, and instead of saving, he decides to use his money to learn digital skills and other things. So that way, he's investing for his future. And then there's a part where we have to save for rainy day. So you can look at your salary, look at what you do, your bills and other things, and okay, can I do 20% every month? And what will be the end goal after the end of the year? So I feel like we have different perspectives to that as well.
Thank you, because just last week they brought paper bill in my compound. I think it's 16,000 a room that we're going to pay. Actually, that is actually the highest I have paid.
Wow.
Ever since I've come to this Lagos. So maybe next month will be maybe 20-some thousand. Who knows?
Yeah.
So it's not easy. But what I do for myself is like, we open my junior brother as an account. He's 14 years old now.
Okay.
So what I do, like, I open an account in his name, in his stuff. So immediately I get my salary, I just, even if it's 20,000, I'm going to pay.
Yeah.
Send to the account, because none of us can withdraw that money until this guy have gotten to this certain age.
Yeah,
so I just send that money to the account. I just don't even bother myself. Not that that money is in that account until he gets to 18 years. I do that to save my own, because there's nothing I can do. Even I save it, put it in my account, I still go to withdraw that money.
Of course. That's a good way.
So there's another thing I want to ask, because I have been going through this also. Heartbreak. How do you undo heartbreak? Because you will not tell me that I'm going through a lot of heartbreak. How do you undo heartbreak as a young man? How do you undo heartbreak? The top question.
So you reminded me of my first. That's my first level of heartbreak. So growing up, we sometimes get to do things ahead of time. Relationships are not bad for growing up people, but we should know at what time you should be able to get involved with somebody.
Yeah.
So for me, I believe that at this point, heartbreaks can happen to anybody. There's no need to spiritualize anything. Heartbreaks can happen to anybody. You can meet somebody who promises you heaven and earth, and at the end of the day, the person keeps you in hell. You might meet somebody that the person is so wonderful to you, and at the end of the day, happens. So one way you can take care of yourself, especially after a heartbreak, you should understand that, first of all, everybody is human. And there's no need placing extreme expectations on people. Until you are married to that person, I don't think there's something crazy you have to place on that person. And heartbreaks don't just happen in a day. it's a consistent thing that happens, from miscommunication to ill communication to actions. So you can see that there's a train of thought before you are eventually served the breakfast. So you should know when breakfast is being prepared so that you leave before it's served on the table as well.
Good. And that is awesome actually, because I think my outbreak has not been much actually, apart from the leader.
Well, you have to spend. I understand.
So actually that was actually okay. So guys, thank you for listening and watching today. We really appreciate. See you guys next time.